नमस्ते भैया। नमस्ते सभी को।
Okay. Okay. So I'll just recap what we had read yesterday. As humans live based on these premises, they become capable of living with resolution, prosperity, and happiness and peace. In this way, the goal of Jeevan is to evidence human awakening in existence. Its success is based on the fact that every human wants to live in orderliness, while in delusion, the basis of order is fear and temptation. Upon awakening, orderliness is with the recognition of values, evaluation, and mutual satisfaction. This is a need to develop, there is a need to develop understanding for it. Yes, so um, yesterday we were having this discussion whether we want to understand orderliness, and the extent that we had discussed yesterday was that do some of the things we do today contemplate as part of orderliness? And as I was discussing with Shalini also, we got to realize that some of the disciplines, even the self, like atma, खुद की आत्मा की रक्षा करना, or self defense and all these kind of things are also pertaining to sort of a fear, because if we look at it, uh, we are actually making ourselves strong enough, and when that happens, there is a sort of distrust that happens, and the other person might feel overwhelmed or they might feel threatened. Even if we are not doing anything, we are just defending ourselves that we will not be attacked. But when we are in that position, we are also reflecting a way of saying that we are not going to be part of anything that is not convenient for us. So that way, we are going to defend our notions and our theories. And that way, it's also not in line with orderliness. So that's what I concluded yesterday, that even some disciplines, even though they might be in self defense, it is actually pertaining to this fear values only. And in the humanity which is in orderliness, there is no place for that also. So yes, of course, these things will take time. I think it is not a 1 day event or a 2 day event or even 10. Might take even more than a decade to get it off the ground. Whereas where all the people of the earth are in a resolved state, we are in harmony with nature, and they are having universal justice with all humans. So that is a very not a far-fetched goal, but very the very reason of our understanding of for being order or in orderliness is that we will rid of all sort of fear, and because we are in coexistence, we will recognize the same everywhere. So yeah, let's see now. There's a new part of the book which is starting. The true form of Jeevan. Okay. So now I think we'll go a little bit slow on this because this is something a new topic. Until now, a lot of idealism and a lot of materialism also was included in the book. But now some of the words also in Hindi, so we'll be contemplating all its meanings also. So we will go according to that. Jivan is inseparable form of man, vritti, chit, buddhi, and atma. Now you can see that even in the translation they are left as it is, because I believe the author of the translation didn't want, or rather, there is no sort of words except for the mind and the brain. Maybe the consciousness. Those are the three, four words that depict the human brain. So they are left the way it is in Hindi, and they are just italicized. So what this means is that we will try to define each one of them, and so that we can have a sort of understanding of all of them. Maybe if I can pull up the paribhasha, it can help giving a new definition of all these things that are saying. So if we look at man, uh, I think the spelling is so M-U-N. It's saying it's M-U-N. Okay. Hmm. In the paribhasha, this word should be there, but I'm not understanding why they're not being pulled up. Man. Is this the right meaning? Bhaiya, maybe you can help us out. I'll have a little bit of.
जीवन में चयन आस्वादन क्रिया
Hmm.
चैतन्य परमाणु में अथवा जीवन परमाणु में निहित चतुर्थ परिवेशीय अंश की क्रियाशीलता। हाँ,
Hmm.
तो इसमें जो पहले लाइन लिखी है ना, जीवन में
हाँ,
चयन और आस्वादन क्रिया,
राइट.
तो ये मन में ही होती है। इसमें आस्वादन स्थिति क्रिया है
Hmm.
और चयन जो है वो गति क्रिया है।
Okay. Right. So we are going to understand all of these words, and by all of these words, I mean this part of the words that are there. Mm, I'm just seeing what has happened here. Yeah. So just give me a second to arrange these windows properly, because then that will be like. Yeah. So wherever there is the sensations, so भैया इसमें जो sensations हमको होते हैं वो मन में होते हैं. Are we understanding that right? The five sensations that we have.
हाँ, सेंसेशंस मन में होते हैं, लेकिन
Hmm.
जो हम सेंसिटिविटी की बात कर रहे हैं
Hmm.
वो पहली तीन चीजें हैं, जैसे मन, वृत्ति
Hmm.
और चित्त।
Hmm.
ठीक है ना, जो संवेदनाओं के चित्रण भी जो हैं वो चित्त में बने हुए हैं
Hmm.
ना।
Hmm.
लेकिन वो आधार उसका तुलन में जो है, ये भी सारी चीजें हम पढ़ेंगे कि
Hmm.
तुलन में हम प्रिय हित लाभ की दृष्टि से जब तुलन करते हैं
Right.
ना, और संवेदनाओं के आधार पे करते हैं, तो
Hmm.
संवेदनाएं को हम सिर्फ मन तक नहीं ले सकते, क्योंकि
Hmm.
हमारे जो कुछ छवियां बनी हुई है ना ऑलरेडी, वो
Hmm.
बनी हुई है चित्त के अंदर, है ना।
Ah.
और अगर उसका आधार तुलन ही वैसा है जैसा कि प्रिय हित लाभ वही
Right.
संवेदनाओं पर आधारित, तो
Hmm.
फिर चित्त वैसे चित्रण बनाता है, और इंसान का जो व्यवहार होता है, दैट दैट काइंड ऑफ बिहेवियर द पर्सन इज डूइंग।
He's going to do right. बढ़िया.
यस।
बहुत बढ़िया.
एंड
Hmm.
व्हेन दिस विल द डेलिब्रेशन, दैट इज तुलन जो है, दैट
Hmm.
विल बी बेस्ड ऑन न्याय धर्म सत्य।
Hmm.
Altogether, the chitran will start changing. Na?
Hmm.
They will
Right.
start changing, and you can say now you are in a chintan state.
Hmm.
So contemplation, which we are saying.
Hmm.
So that has started, and
Hmm.
that is a altogether change if we can maintain that throughout our life.
Hmm. Right. Right. बढ़िया. So yeah, I think we are getting it and the understanding, and when we are using two languages here, but I think everybody in the audience is getting it. Um, we are actually understanding this man, vritti, chit, buddhi, and atman. So now these all combined together. That's in fact is written in the next line itself, as these never separate from one another. So Jeevan is inseparable with these three, four, five items or entities, and it's never separating from one another. They are interlinked and they're combining and they're communicating within themselves. And the only problem being that the man vritti chit is until now just contemplating what is profitable, what is healthy, and what is likable. So these are the only three ways that the man, vritti, and chitta are trying to understand the whole world basically. And we can loosely translate chitta as imagination, but again, as I said, that these words have a very profound meaning in Hindi. But for the sake of understanding it, we are going to say that loosely translated, the chitta is the imagination. The vritti can be said to be the intention. कैसी वृत्ति होती है किसी की भी, तो
That is basically
part of
thought process, thought
thought
process,
process.
है ना?
Okay, yes, good, yes,
हम्म।
thought process.
हम्म। आशा,
Right.
विचार, इच्छा, ये शब्द यूज किए हैं ना।
वृत्ति में
आशा
भी।
मन के लिए,
हम्म।
विचार जो है वो वृत्ति के लिए,
हम्म।
और इच्छा जो है वो चित्त के लिए,
बढ़िया।
है ना?
Right, 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 right.
हम्म।
Okay. So again, Asha is to anticipate. Can we put that word in that word? Asha, किसी की चीज़ की भी आशा करना.
हम्म।
So that is also part of man. And when we say this man is, we cannot say that that is the mind. But yes, I think.
Now here, man, vritti, chitta, buddhi, and atma.
Mm,
You can say it is a combination of mind and soul. Na, in a
right,
simple
right,
language,
exactly,
it's a
exactly.
combination of mind and soul.
Right. So that makes sense because if we keep on looking for one individual word, then there is no such words in English as of yet, and that's why that we have left the words again in Hindi. So right, so the mind combines the man, vritti, chit, buddhi, and the soul. We can say that the Atman is the soul, so we can leave that. So the four items combined together will form the mind, man, vritti, chit, buddhi, and the atma can be said to be the soul. So yeah, again, as I said, that this is a translation from Hindi, so we are trying to make it easier for the audience, but I think we are getting there slowly. है ना? So the Jeevan, which is a combination of all these items, as these have never separated from one another, man has two functions: selection, chayan, and taste, aswadan. So part of the mind has the function to select based on priyahit labha, again, as we said, whatever is likable, whatever is profitable, whatever is healthy. So it chooses, it selects, right? Chayan and taste. Basically, based on the taste, it selects, right? So that's the function. The very dominant, sorry, not the dominant, but very active process of the Jivan can be said to be the man, right? Because it is the lowest form of thinking. Because we all think from the man, right? Then vritti has two functions: analysis, vishleshan, and deliberation, tulan. So we analyze and we are into tulan. We check and we see that whether it is to our liking. So again, these things are happening in the mind. We compare. Basically, that's what it's saying here. We analyze and we compare. So that's part of the vritti now. And vritti also is a little bit of a higher function because of its very tendency that it is at going closer to the Atman. Like if you can see, if you can visualize, Man is at the outer core, outer parameter. Vritti is now in the inner circle. Chitta is far a little bit more in the inner circle. Buddhi is completely next to the Atman, right? So this is how we can just imagine and arrange it in our mind and imagination. And so as we get closer to the center, which is the Atman, we can see that our activities or our ways of performing any sort of um, actions also are comparatively holistic or comparatively in line with coexistence. Because right now we are just thinking from manvritti chitta, and that too also we are using the three lower forms of valuing it, which is profit and likability and profit likability and what is healthy. So mm, and chitta has two functions: visualization, as I said, something like an imagination, and contemplation, chintan. So again, this all happens in the mind, the visualization and the contemplation. Buddhi has two functions: resolve, sankalp, and enlightenment, both. And Atman has two functions: authenticity, pramarikta, and realization, anubhava. So let's see what the passage is saying.
Actually, Bhaiya,
Hmm.
I think, but the way these are written,
Hmm.
uh, that there should be sequence should be proper. I think the sequence is missing.
Mhm.
Like first you should write the state and then you should write the motion. पहले
Hmm.
स्थिति फिर
Hmm.
गति, है ना? जैसे
Hmm.
in the first line it should be taste and selection
Hmm.
instead of selection and taste, so that the
Okay.
sequence becomes proper. Then
Ah,
deliberation and analysis. Then
okay.
third one is correct. That
Okay.
is visualization, chitran,
Hmm.
and contemplation. है ना?
Right.
So
Right.
I think that some changes should be there so that a proper map is formed when we are visualizing the whole concept of Jivan Kriya.
Right. So what this
This
says?
is also known
Plus.
as Jivan Kriya in Hindi,
Hmm.
the whole process of understanding how the Jivan works.
Acha. Okay. Right. So I just interchange them. So at least
And I
it'll.
think it's a
Hmm.
very, very beautiful part of our discussion today. And
Hmm.
the very important also.
Or yes, I think that's why I said we have to go to through this very slowly. Maybe we'll stay on
Very
this page
slowly.
today.
Yes.
And because I mean the detailing is there, I accept. I'm just skimming through it, and I'm seeing that there is some detailing there. So I will
Hmm.
not go and get stuck there, but we'll see how it goes below. So as we are
Hmm.
reading on, we are getting the clarity
Hmm.
also. So
Hmm.
Atman has two functions: authenticity, pramarikta, and realization, anubhava.
Hmm.
So, every Jivan continuously operates through these 10 activities. Jivan with these 10 activities is evidence in either a state of delusion or awakening. Okay. So, there is, I mean, all these functions are there inbuilt in the Jivan or in the human when he or she is born. But again, see what it's saying here. It's saying Jivan with these 10 activities is evidence in either a state of delusion or awakening. So, obviously, if it is in the state of awakening, then there will be no disorderliness. That's obvious. So, in a deluded state, what happens is we can see here Jivan inspired by sensitivity, and only
Hmm.
4.5 out of these 10 activities are effective due to animal consciousness. Okay.
Now I think you got the answer when you said how
Hmm.
sensitivity is
Yeah.
working. So sensitivity means we are working on the 4.5 state. And
Hmm.
the first time when you listen to this 4.5,
Hmm.
you get amazed. What is this 4.5? You know,
Oh,
either
okay.
4 or 5, these are the
Yeah.
two figures.
Right.
So, but the clarification is deliberation can act in two ways. One is based on Priyahit, that
Mm-hmm.
is pleasure, health, and profit. Or the
Mm-hmm.
second concept can be Nyaya Dharam Satya, justice, dharma, or that is orderliness and the coexistence. So these are the two ways you can do the deliberation. तुलन दो तरह से आप कर सकते हैं. ये यहाँ
Mm-hmm.
पे आधा इसलिए कर दिया गया. The
Mm-hmm.
same concept in UHV is not done. They have kept it 5. है ना?
Right.
So
Right.
they have made it more simple. The
More simple.
UHV people, they are
Mm.
also working on all these things, but
Right.
they are making it in a bit simpler way.
Right. So
Yes.
just for clarification again, taste or aswadan has two kriyas, right? Sorry, the man has two kriyas, which is
Man
taste
has to.
and selection, right?
Hmm.
And then the
Hmm.
vritti has also two kriyas, deliberation and vishleshan.
Hmm.
And then, so those are the four, right? Is that
Those are the four.
right? Okay, and then the half comes from the deliberation, which is of the
No,
wrong. Is
deliberation is already there.
Hmm.
The fifth one is
Hmm.
your visualization. That is chitran.
Okay,
है ना?
got it.
Chitran.
हाँ,
Now, how it is 4.5? Tulan
हाँ,
is considered as half, not
हाँ,
the full.
okay.
In when you are in a deluded state or when you are thinking on the base of sensitivity.
हाँ, हाँ, हाँ,
So I
okay.
think now it should be clear.
So
Any of
chitta, but chitta has two functions still, visualization and contemplation. So then it would be
no,
how would
you see, contemplation doesn't come into picture until
Hmm.
you deliberate on the basis of Nyaya Dharma Satya. That is not
Okay.
coming into picture.
हाँ,
So
हाँ,
that is the reason it is 4.5.
हाँ, okay, right, बढ़िया.
I hope it's clear or any doubt is
Hmm.
there. So you
Yeah.
see the
Hmm.
lower two part,
Hmm.
taste and selection, they are full.
Hmm.
Then deliberation and analysis, deliberation half.
Right.
Then visualization, that is chitran,
हाँ,
which is a gati kriya, that is there. है ना?
हाँ,
But contemplation is not coming into picture. Chintan
हाँ,
is not coming. Chintan
hmm.
means when you start thinking on the basis of Nyaya Dharma Satya, that is on the basis of justice, dharma, and coexistence.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. Again, it's
So, Bhaiya, whatever I am saying,
Hmm.
Shivangi, Shreyanshi, and others are there. They
Yeah.
can add to it. Wherever they feel that there needs to be some correction, they
Hmm.
should come forward without any
Yeah.
hesitation.
Yeah.
We all are learner. I'm telling based on what I have learned,
Hmm.
but if any correction is required,
Yeah.
should be done.
So we are inviting Shivangi if you are there, or even Shreyanshi if you would like to add, especially this topic, which is of the five states of the Jeevan.
You especially Shivangi, Shreyanshi, if you
Uh,
find any doubt or anything which has been not coming properly, you can definitely clarify that.
hmm.
Otherwise, history assume that
This
we
is
are
good, and I don't have anything to add right now. See.
okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
बढ़िया. Yeah, so just going ahead, I think we are on the same page, quite clearly getting clarified and more clarified. The remaining activities, it said here, in a deluded state, the tune is inspired by sensitivity, and only 4.5 out of these 10 activities are effective due to animal consciousness. So
Hmm.
again, we are seeing that how almost because this darshan has just recently appeared, we can conclude that all that is there in the existence right now, even in the form of humans, has not been having any sort of tradition of continuity, and so all of mankind has literally just been working on the 4.5 out of these 10 activities. So when we talk about the 10 activities, that is when that man or that group of people or that structure of people are actually enlightened, and they are in harmony with coexistence, and they are in orderliness. So that's where the whole the whole of work which needs to be done, from shifting from 4.5 to the 10 kriyas, so
And
that's
that is moving towards Jagriti. So,
yeah.
so far, what has happened when we have become human, it
Hmm.
means that complete atom, जिसको हम गठनपूर्ण परमाणु कह रहे हैं, वो
Hmm.
बन गया. There is no role of ours in making of that.
Hmm.
But what is now our duty is to move towards the awakening. How to move? Now it has been made very simple
Hmm.
that you just complete all 10 kriyas. है ना?
Right,
And
right.
even in that 10 kriyas, the most important is do the deliberation rightly. That
Mm,
is on the basis of justice, orderliness, and coexistence. Na?
mm,
So
mm,
start doing that, and automatically you will see the shift in you.
mm,
But unfortunately, or you can say because of the body or animal consciousness, we
mm,
have lived our complete life
mm.
deliberating on the basis of create love, pleasure,
Right.
health, and profit. And that is why we are what we are today. Na?
Right.
That is, we are not awakened. So, how to do the awakening? The formula is very simple. And
Mm,
this is the formula which we are discussing that complete the 10 kriyas.
right. Right. बहुत बढ़िया. So, I mean, the deeper we go into this, I'm starting to realize that a lot of things are being repeated. As in, we have talked about animal consciousness. We have talked about how their ability is limited. I mean, the evolution is limited because of their lack of developed brain. And now we have this human order which is having the right developed brain to understand itself and to understand the whole of existence and to understand coexistence. So, I think the more deeper we go into it, the more easier it gets to the fact that it's very easy now to focus on what needs to be clarified. I think we going through this with an empty mind, or rather without any Adarshwad thoughts or any materialistic thoughts, basically without delusion, this should be very easy now to implement, to understand, to then make it part of you. I don't think there's any sort of any problem as such that I'm seeing, because it's now is just getting clearer and clear that what needs to be done is this, and that is just in line with what we are understood till now. So the
Yeah,
remaining activities.
formula is very
Hmm.
simple.
Hmm.
Formula is simple, but implementation is difficult
Hmm.
because we have lived the life on a wrong pattern. That
Hmm.
is deliberating on the basis of half of Tulan. है ना? That
Right.
is on the basis of PHP. I say in simple words, PHP means
Hmm.
pleasure, health, and profit.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
that is the
बढ़िया.
problem. Otherwise, the formula is very simple.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
बढ़िया.
we can't say that since I have learned these words, now
Hmm.
I have achieved something. No,
Hmm.
these are the words I have acquired. Now I have to bring it into my character.
Living.
I have to
Right.
bring it into my living, my
Hmm.
conduct. That is, these are the important
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just about it's just about not just speaking as a person who is a spokesperson, like a preacher of this darshan, and maybe is get maybe gathering the crowd, which most of us get stuck into that kind of obsession also, because when we find something new and it has almost like the answers to everything or every question that we have, we suddenly keep uh, a distance from indulging into that whole darshan, when rather just become spokespeople. So I think, yeah, so very rightfully said, it should be in the living, and that itself will bring the fragrance of your actions, your activities, in the way you are sitting, standing, talking, all these kind of things will have a sort of fragrance of orderliness, of understanding, of knowing something which is the way it is, and just knowing it, it's not just इसमें अनुमान नहीं है कोई भी तरह. We are knowing it to the core, and that is part of our being. So that is very very I mean, it is a very nice state of being that you are also able to enact it, but it's not the word, the acting is not there, the action is flowering or is fragranced with that understanding also. So that is the beauty of this darshan. It's always talking about knowing and understanding on your side, not of the other side, rather. So if you are understood, if you are resolved, if you are in orderliness, then you will obviously have no issues with anybody else, because you will realize that the other person is also doing something out of the, as you bhaiya you said, PHP. To him or her, it is just PHP which is active. Imagine the connection. If if you like, a fuse box is there, right? And if the fuse is blown, so even if no matter how many times you flick the switch, that light will never light because the fuse is broken from that. There is no current passing through that, you know. So that's the best part. So we have to work on that. Now we should have an acronym for this Nyaya, Dharma, and Satya. So we can say maybe justice, J. Dharma, we can keep it innate nature. So we can put it as IN maybe, JIN, and then truth, JINT. We can do some J acronym for that. So justice, innate nature, and truth, JINT. So if it's from PHP to GINT, I think that's that's the process that needs to be done, you know. Uh,
But we will not be like to continue to speak in this abbreviated form because
huh.
somebody else may enter at a different stage and he or she may get confused. What is this? So,
Right.
okay, most
Huh.
of the time we will be elaborating what it is.
Right, right. We'll just say the
Hmm.
whole words. Right. So, yeah, I mean, the, the, um, the way it is now getting more clearer and clearer, I am seeing that it will become very easy to adopt also. And yeah, so the remaining activities lack the substance for understanding, resulting in internal conflict with Jeevan. So, does this mean that the remaining activities lack the substance for understanding? So that means the remaining activities being the 6.5, is it? The remaining
Five and a half.
five and a
Four
half.
and a half this, five and a
Right,
half.
right. Five and a half, sorry.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
5.5 activities lacks the substance for understanding. I'm not able to understand this part.
No, no,
Usme,
they don't lack.
uh,
You see,
uh,
the way you start deliberating in a right manner, na?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So contemplation will start. It means how you will deliberate rightly when you are basically parallelly है ना inseparable way you are
mm-hmm,
contemplating आपने चिंतन शुरू कर दिया है ना
mm-hmm,
आपने चिंतन किया और आप then you felt that this is not the way I am living. There are certain problem in the way I am living on the basis of pleasure, health, and profit. So
mm-hmm,
let me change it. And
mm-hmm,
then when you thought, when you understood by learning, then you realize, let me start working on justice, dharma, and truth. As
mm-hmm.
soon as you move to that, you find
Mm,
that there is a drastic change in relationship. है ना?
mm, right.
It makes things easier for you.
Mm,
Earlier, I want to live on my PHP, other
right,
person want to live on his PSP. So there
right,
is a clash. But
right.
once we start living on the Nyaya Dharam Satya, then
Uh,
we start taking care of the other.
mm,
The most important thing is
mm,
so in the childhood, we most of the time or have learned that G or Gine do. But
mm,
you see the shift here. The
mm,
shift is Gine do or Geo. Na?
mm,
Gine do is coming first.
right.
Now it completes the 6 stages
Mm,
as soon as we do. The next 4 stages, Babaji
mm,
says,
mm,
are easier to achieve once
mm,
you achieve this. Once
okay.
you achieve once you start deliberating properly,
Uh,
you and you start putting it into your life in living, then
right.
you will be, it is called sakshatkar.
Uh,
This is called sakshatkar. And
right.
as soon as it happens, the next 2 stages, the bodh and anubhav, they
Mm,
becomes easier. They become
right.
easier.
Right.
And they start means once you start
Automatically.
living, this will start automatically if
Uh,
you are able to maintain the continuity. So
uh,
that is the important part.
right. Right. Okay. So again, it's the next line.
But
It's
of course, we will read more in detail
mm,
about both as well
mm,
as the realization. Then it
mm,
will be more clearer.
right. Yeah. So these 4.5 activities are selection, taste, analysis, visualization, and half of deliberation. Right. So, taste and selection, I think we are going to get our answers now. Taste and selection occur based on sensitivity, where one chooses what is pleasant to hands, feet, nose, ears, eyes, tongue, etc., right? And avoids what is unpleasant, right? So, deliberation based on sensitivity operates from the perspective of pleasure, health, and profit. Okay, so we are getting clarity here that PHP is for deliberation and taste selection occur based on sensitivity, right? So whatever is good for the hands to touch, soft, for the nose to smell, maybe perfumes or something like that. Ears, maybe good music, rhythmic music, maybe something good to see, something pleasant, patterns or some sort of orderliness. We are seeing maybe a good structure, we are seeing that somebody has made something. Taste, of course, the tongue. So these selection are based on sensitivity, and the deliberation is based on sensitivity, operates from the perspective of pleasure, health, and profit. In the same vein, analysis and visualization activities are also performed accordingly. Right. So according to PHP only. So pleasure, health, and profit. We also analyze and visualize whatever is pleasurable, healthy, and profit. Right. So somebody might be saying, "What do you want to be?" We can ask even a child. So they will say, based on what they have concluded, um, with their minds, with the way they have seen the things in the world, they will say that maybe I want to be an actor, maybe I want to be a superstar or a YouTuber or vlogger or some things like that, because that's what they've seen, right?
Hmm.
That's what their visualization is extending to.
Hmm.
So, but yeah,
So
so
that Sudarshan Bhaiya is with us, and
yes.
being a computer engineer, he can understand it very easily. That
Hmm.
chit is a kind of memory, and
Right.
what the information can provide, that will provide based on the memory. And
Hmm.
suppose in the memory there are wrong things, the computer
Hmm.
will
Yeah.
provide wrong things, wrong
Right.
information, or
Right.
based on whatever is done.
Right.
When we start deliberating based on justice, dharma, and orderly
Hmm.
coexistence,
Hmm.
our memory gets changed.
Hmm.
है ना? A memory
Yeah.
gets changed. New chitran or new visualization starts happening there.
Hmm.
Based on that, our all lower activities will also change. है ना?
Right. Right. Exactly.
So that is the drastic change which will happen. This is the
Uh,
same thing will happen in us, in the human beings.
I think it's very important that you said that, because this means now that as soon as we get into understanding, we should be creating new memory. Is that right? Because the whole of tradition is based on the memory system right now, the way it is going, right? And the memory systems which are going right now are based on PHP, profit, health, and pleasure, mostly because
Hmm.
of pleasure, not so much on health and profit, because they are actually inversely proportional. Like if you find something which is healthy, then most
Hmm.
probably it's not profitable, simple thing is
Hmm.
like, for your soft drink is not profitable, but I mean, soft drinks are profitable but not healthy, and a coconut is healthy but not profitable. It's maybe it has this problem of perishability and all this kind of thing. So we are mostly stuck at the pleasure. I think we are just five senses how it can be pleasurable to us, and we are stuck there. Whole of humanity, I would say, and that's how where the memories are being made. That's where all the investments and all the money is flowing. One day there was no money flowing into this bitcoins and all these kind of things. Now the American government, I don't know if it's fake news or what, they are starting to accept the bitcoins. And so now we are seeing there's an upsurge of people mining now the bitcoins. That is basically digital mining. They will create computers which are working day and night. And I've heard of these data centers where they are pulling the power from the grid in a remote farm, and they are mining these bitcoins. Basically, it's a way of mining digitally, and it uses the processing power, and lots of power is wasted on this, and then there is some coins generated, and these coins are very valuable, like in money wise, and these are all digital, by the way. There's no physical thing that is going on here. So basically some sort of program is run, and it comes up with this kind of digital coins, bitcoins they say it. So again, something which is for the sake of pleasure only, that they feel that they will make the money, so they are making and doing these things, and so much of resources are diverted towards it completely. I mean, nothing happening in orderliness there. Just a whole bunch of people devising some mechanisms to arrange the computers in a very big large area, and they are just using up all the resources unnecessarily, so yeah, we have to redesign, we have to remake the memories the way it's saying, so right. In summary, we become ready to live while being identified with bodily sensations. This is called a deluded Jivan. So, what we had just discussed right now, which is mind centered, the senses centered towards the sensations, and the deliberation based on sensitivity, which is pleasure, health, and profit. So, this sort of mind, or which is stuck in this body sensations only, is called a deluded jivan, because again these all sensations are being fed to the jivan, and we should understand that the brain is just processing all these sensations, and whatever is being received is actually received and perceived by the jivan. So jivan is completely uh, different from the physical body, but then it is also the one which is perceives and receives the information in sensation forms. So yeah, this is called the deluded jivan when it's just concerned with the senses, or sensitivity, pleasures from the sensitivity. Now, this leads to continuous internal conflict, with constant dilemmas about whether something is right or wrong, more or less. This mentality resembles that of a primitive human, though only only material things have increased. So we can see that I heard it somewhere that we are the most so powerful that even the kings of the past, they had not that much power in their pockets, the much power we have with our mobile phones, because the kings of the past would have killed for the kind of technology that we have, but we have it everywhere and everybody has that. So again, as technology is for the normal humankind to get evolved, be it with education, I think the same can be said that with education, that power or their scalability is there for the whole of humanity to understand. So as it is with technology for the humans, uh, to get the services, so is the knowledge or the education there for the whole of humanity to get in orderliness and get resolved. So we should have great um, gratitude for this knowledge, because this can transform the whole of humanity, just as technology is transforming the whole of humanity. For I mean, the way you use it, of course, is just as important, but with knowledge, I don't think that the negative things can come out. Once if you are knowledgeful, you will not do the wrong things, obviously. Otherwise, you're not knowledgeful, you're not knowledgeable. If you are still doing the wrong things with the deluded mind, then you are still working at the PHP, the profit, health, and I'm forgetting the profit, pleasure, health, and profit perspectives. So yeah, I mean, if once we get resolved, we'll be working from the justice, truth, and um, innate nature, right? So that's the way it goes. Right. Anybody else wants to add or to ask? Okay, maybe we can just take one more paragraph.
Yes, anyone has anything to add?
Yeah.
Most welcome. Or any doubt is arising, then
Mm.
come forward and discuss. It's our own platform.
Um, So I think maybe I'll just read and then I will see afterwards. Awakening the remaining 5.5 activities of Jivan, which happens through understanding, is essential for developing a humane mentality. So again, Bhaiya, as you said, once we are governed by these other 5.5 activities, and that in light with Nyaya Dharma and Satya, then again we will also be developing, as it said here, developing a humane mentality, which is lacking right now, and which is the reason why we are seeing so much of incompetence in the human society, be it in the family, be it in the society, be it in the level of countries also. There is so much despair and so much of mayhem and destruction and all these things that are happening right now. So humanity basically is not humane simply because that is the functioning of the four and a half activities, right? So that's the issue basically. The four and a half activities of Jeevan are sufficient for recognizing and fulfilling the five senses and four instincts where humans live like an animal or a demon. It is not possible to live humanely with only four and a half activities. Such living doesn't result in satisfaction, right? So we can clearly see this, that people who are having all the means will be still not fulfilled. They will still want more and more. They will still want to get the their coffers more and more filled up with their so-called wealth. They will still want to make investments. They will still want to have that profit. And I think it's just a sort of how shall I say it, that a person will not know when to stop, because there is this unquenchable thirst in the Jivan, right? And that is being tried to fill up with the materialistic or the material values, and that never happens, right? So it's like um, saying something that you're trying to fill up a black hole with so much matter, but then the black hole itself is infinitely empty, and you are trying to fill it up with as much as matter as you want. That cannot happen, so this the similar situation is there. The Jivan is um, completely full of Akshay Bal and Akshay Shakti, and you're trying to fill it up with material things, which is not possible, which you are trying to fill it up with gold, or trying to fill it up with taste, or trying to fill it up with good sound, good music. Somewhere down the line, even economics has accepted this. They call it the law of perishability, the law of some sort economic phrase is there. Um, the law of something, the word I'm missing that word, and then this perishability of that feeling, or that intent, and that they actually give the example of when you are feeling thirsty, the first glass of water, that satisfaction you get is never gotten again with the second glass or the third glass or even after that. So uh, perishable returns, the law of perishable returns. I think that's what they say it, and I learned that in my time. So that's, yeah. So that's also reflecting here. We'll never be fulfilled with the four and a half activities. Such living does not result in satisfaction. The main issue now is to evidence all 10 activities of the Jivan in behavior as awakening. So we should also note that it's not merely just about transferring from four and a half to five and a half. It is actually
Law of
uh,
diminishing utility.
law of diminishing utility, right? So basically, everything that you are consuming has a utility which is diminishing with every additional consumption of the same unit. There is some perishability and there is some diminishing utility. Basically, उसकी उपयोगिता कम होती जाती है. The satisfaction also keeps on going lower and lower. Right. So, I mean, the economics then counter that with the increasing the price, So, this is how it works in the economics. So, if something is abundantly available, they will increase I mean, if it's abundantly available, they will decrease the price. And if it's less available, they will increase the price. So, that's how the demand supply curves and all these things are there to keep these things in check. Basically, keeping the man in a sort of confusion, whereas the nature or abundance is all around us, if we just understand the difference between Jivan and the need of the body. So yeah, I just thought of giving you an idea of that When we are resolved, we will all obviously feel full of abundance, because we will just be focusing on the body as the needs of the body, rather than converting and converging those needs with maybe values, and then trying to fill those things with the values. We will be looking to the values, in front of the values, and we will be evidencing the values with the right uh, values from the other person also. So like trust and love and all these kind of things will be equally manifested with each other when we are coexisting with other human beings. So there is no such need of having a big house so that we can get the respect, so that we can be loved, so then we can be asked, respected. Instead, we will be becoming more knowledgeful, we'll be becoming more wise, so that we will be respected automatically. So as you said, yes, some things will happen automatically once we are within those 10 kriyas. So, yeah, as let's just read one more line. The main issue now is to evidence all 10 activities of the Jivan in behavior as awakening. Manifesting partial activities would not be awakening. For example, a healthy body is when all the five sense organs and five action organs are functioning properly with mutual coordination. If someone's hands or legs don't work, then we will call that person a cripple. We won't call that person healthy. Right. So we just talked about this, that once a person is resolved, they will not be in disorderliness, or they will not be like a deluded man, or rather they will be in orderliness completely. All their functions and all their coordinations will be happening uh, in right form. Right. So yeah, we still have 10 minutes. Uh, we can read one more paragraph, and let's see if we can understand it also. The awakening cannot happen unless and until we connect our activities of recognizing and fulfilling with our activities of knowing and believing. Yeah, so I think this is a sentence that we need to understand also. So basically, awakening or being in orderliness or being knowledgeful cannot happen unless and until we connect our activities. So basically, our actions of recognizing and fulfilling. So, uh, can it be said that is this is recognizing is janna, and fulfilling is
No, recognizing is पहचानना and fulfilling will
pehchan.
be निर्वाह करना.
Okay, right, right. With our activities of knowing and believing.
नोइंग जानना हो गया और
हाँ,
बिलीविंग मानना.
okay. So that means what
मैंने
we know.
recognizing पहचानना बोल दिया था क्या? कि
नहीं
पहचानना
आपने
बोल
पहचान,
ठीक, आपने ठीक
पहचान.
बोला था. आपने रिकॉग्नाइजिंग को पहचानना बोला था,
हाँ, हाँ, right.
है ना, और फुलफिलिंग को निर्वाह करना.
हाँ,
ठीक है.
नोइंग हो गया जानना और बिलीविंग मानना.
हाँ,
तो
right. Right, बढ़िया. So, until now, humans have evidenced Jivan's four and a half activities through recognizing and fulfilling sensory desires. The remaining activities of Jivan are evidence in behavior, which is the basis of awakening. Okay, so again, these remaining activities of the Jivan are uh, in a higher ordinance. That's why we are saying that it's not just the sensory fulfilling the sensory desires, but the remaining activities of Jivan are evidenced in behavior, which is the basis of awakening, right? Hmm. This will happen only by the way of knowing and believing. Nature, apart from humans, remains regulated in course of recognizing and fulfilling, wherein it functions according to its laws. This way, they are in orderliness. So, in nature, there is recognizing and fulfilling, and by that it means that every atom recognizes, and when it recognizes, it fulfills its function based on its recognition. So, like for example, if it finds a similar atom of its own kind, it will combine with that to form that substance and make it one. And if it's recognizing another element which is it can share the orbit with, then it will combine with that and form another compound, or as we said, sodium and chlorine gas, they'll combine and form table salt. So this is basically in the for the these functions are according to the laws of nature, that we can say, for the matter, and this way they are in orderliness. So the orderliness in them is innate because they are recognizing and fulfilling, right? So that's what it's saying here. But for humans, um, humans have evidence 4.5 activities through recognizing and fulfilling. So this is also there in the humans, but we are supposed to be, as we said here, awakening cannot happen unless and until we connect our activities of recognizing and fulfilling with our activities of knowing and believing. So this is the additional part that we are as the knowledge order, and it happens through knowing and believing, and also, in fact, the traditions of the human being, I think, also are taken forward or carried forward through these activities of knowing and believing. Otherwise, the tradition does not follow. So, for human beings, um, recognizing fulfilling does not happen, and even if it does, it's just the senses. But with knowledge and with believing something, like somebody, if somebody can tell us some truth, and then we believe it, and then when we believe it, we see it for ourselves, we test it for ourselves, and it becomes part of our living. As Bhaiya said, that once we are knowledgeable, we also uh, behave in such orderliness that we are part of the existence, and we behave accordingly. And all our activities, from being still to sit down to sitting, the way we talk, the way we walk, the way we do any of our activities, are in line with orderliness. So yeah, I think it's getting more and more clearer as we finish this paragraph. है ना? So we have some 3 minutes. I think we can stop here. है ना? Nature, apart from humans, remains regulated in course of recognizing and fulfilling, wherein it functions according to its laws. So yeah, I think we can maybe talk about this, how nature is able to do this, because uh, at least some sort of clarity we can get when we look at nature and its laws. As it said, these are the laws. So even if we look at the way simple things like the global warming is the way it's regulated right now, I was talking to the kids of how the abundance of water is actually creating more and more lightning. So what happens is, for example, I'll just take 1 more minute on this, and it's very important that we understand how the nature's laws work also. So because of global warming, the ice caps in the polar regions are melting, and because of that, there is a abundance of water saturation in the atmosphere. And because of that, what happens is there is a frequency of rains which increases. And when there is rain happening, there are clouds, and when there are clouds, there is a lot of lightning, and this lightning are actually creating the particles of O3. Now, O3 is basically the ozone layer, which is very thin. It's almost just about 3 millimeters thick, right? So, this ozone is, I mean, imagine the whole planet's Earth planet, all the UVB rays, 80% of the UVB rays, and all the 100% of UVC rays, which are very harmful for life, by the way, are reflected into space by this ozone layer, and which is just 3 millimeters thick. Now, when this ozone layer is getting more and more thicker because of the lightning, because of the clouds, because of the oversaturation of the water in the atmosphere, because of global warming again. So, what is happening is now more and more rays of the sun are being deflected into space. So, clearly, this means that there will be a cooling of the earth. Now, of course, we are saying that the global warming is happening, but then nature is trying to bring this into orderliness by cooling it down, by thickening the ozone layer. And this is again, we can see that how the laws of nature or the way it works for coexistence, so that the earth can cool down. Even though we are doing the wrong things, the earth is trying to repair it and trying to fix itself. So of course there will be um, negative effects of that. For example, floods and droughts will be happening, because this does happen there when there is a saturation of water, higher water saturation. Then some places which don't have rain will start having rain, some places which have rains will have a lot of floods. So these things will happen, but basically you can see that the earth is trying to cool itself down, and this is we can see how the nature is working in orderliness very easily here, है ना? So yeah, I think we had a good discussion. Um, we are out of time, but basically, if somebody else wants to share or to comment, we can have one more minute. Yes.
There is one more way that we can relate all this. Like,
Hmm.
for example, let's say that the human beings are living in those 4.5 states, right?
Hmm.
And they can be classified then into your this thing, demonic people and the animalistic people, right? So
Right.
it said about the five senses and the four instincts before, right? So the four instincts and the five senses will be fulfilled using these 4.5 states.
Right.
But to be able to live like a proper human being, will need to awaken all the 10 states.
Right.
So the point of that recognizing and living that as well as understand knowing and believing it.
Ah.
Uh, that I wanted to say that, for example, a human being is living in like an animal or a demon, right? So
Hmm.
at that time, the concentration of the human being is totally to fulfill the four instincts, which is food and sleeping and fear and your physical pleasure. So
Hmm.
for that, those 4.5 activities are fulfilling, and with this, they'll live like an animal. But
Hmm.
even then, while living like an animal, they will not be recognizing and fulfilling nature in the way that an animal does. So, so in the nature, the fulfilling and recognizing is very particular, and each and every unit, except for human beings, will recognize their role and they'll live accordingly. So, for example, an animal is living animalistically, and they are a violent kind of animal. Let's say a lion. So a
Hmm.
lion is not going to hunt without hunger.
Right.
It'll hunt when it is hungry. It'll attack when it is scared. It'll only look for a mate when that is its time. But
Hmm.
for human beings, that is not the same. So if
Right.
the human being who has the capacity of freedom of being able to choose when to do whatever they want to do, then
Hmm.
when they try to live like an animal, they only cause havoc.
Right.
That is the thing.
Yeah.
For human beings to fully live, they'll
Hmm.
have to also understand nature. They'll also have to get to know what the existence is, and they'll have to live accordingly. Only then they'll be able to, live in orderliness. Otherwise,
Hmm.
no matter what they do, it's never going to happen.
Right. Right.
So even animal kingdom, animals being demonic or animals being weak, that
Hmm.
is fine. That is completely okay. But human beings, if they live like that, then it is always going to be bad. So that is what I'm just.
It will always want to have something more, and that is actually going to create the problem, because the brain capacity of the animal is such that it can fulfill its orderliness. But when it comes to human, it it tries to be orderly, but then in the process it is still feeling hungry. That full that um, kriyas are still empty, right? So it is venturing out. It is using its proximities of trying to understand more and more. So this is the wing, and it's trying to fulfill it with the materialistic thing, or the sensitive with the sensors only. So it is filling it up with that, which can never happen. So I think that is the link. Basically, the brain capacity is more such that it gives the Jeevan the freedom to think more, and then that more is now trying to be filled up with the senses, which can never happen, obviously. At least not for everyone. I mean, it still doesn't happen for the Brahmit, one Brahmit Manav. So no, it cannot happen for any particular number of people also. बहुत बढ़िया. So yeah, we can end here, and we'll continue from here tomorrow. Um, Everybody have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.